I think this has been the worst game week we've ever had on the Road to Glory series. Last week when we were looking at the strategy and how the roster was filling out, we took a bit of an aggressive approach to go and buy some more strength in, and more specifically buy in some more in-season goalkeeper options to flesh out our choices and our flexibility with some of the cards that we've got at our disposal. But the weekend has been and gone, and it has been an absolute destruction derby of terrible negative decisive actions, poor scores, DNPs, you name it. And we're coming out of this game week with a few more bits of food for thought, a few more kind of lessons, as it were, of decisions I've made certainly with the Road to Glory series in this game week in particular, as well as some other market activity things that I'm either relearning or I'm learning for the first time, or some things that have kind of reared their head again for the worse. But as we sit right now, we are set up for a midweek where we've got La Liga Road to Glory action before we come back to the weekend for the Premier League. And with this midweek being all the Europa League teams, there's actually a bit of a footprint with some of the stuff we've got going on with regards to that. So it feels like now that we'll have the Champions League and the Europa League fully up and running, the tempo of the main body of the season is very much underway. There's an international break not too far away, it's still a little while away yet, and obviously we're just out the back of one, and this is the sort of rhythm we're waiting to see our teams get into in terms of the ones that do play midweeks and the ones that don't. At any point in the video today, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And if you are brand new to Sorare and you've not opened up your account yet, all the beginner tutorials you need to get started are in the description of the video, as well as the beginner join link to get you $150, pounds, euros, whatever your currency is, of market credit. And no matter when you click on that link, it will always be loaded up with the best sign up bonus available, because Sorare love the content here at Quinny 3001. If you do get stuck, if you've got any questions, jump into the comment section, of course, and I'll come and sort you out. But let's just get stuck straight into this one, because the Road to Glory series, the budget beginner series that we've got here on the channel, is not only me kind of playing along, Sorare with you guys that watch the content and everything as well, but in all honesty, it is one of my most engaging strategies that I'm running this year. I'm having a lot of fun having two hands on the wheel with this as well, in terms of driving the decisions that we're going to have with the team, the roster, the market moves, and all that kind of thing as well. And it pains me that we're not doing just a little bit better. As you'll remember from last week, we brought in Sani Lamans, Ilman Ndiaye and Jack Grealish in particular to give us the in-season goalkeeper thing. If you missed that video, it will be linked to the end of this one, no doubt, in case you want to catch up with it. But these are the teams we went out with for the weekend. Ronaldo getting sent off, Robin Rofs having an error led to goal, Habib Diarra DNP, there was just an absolute carnage fest here, and sadly we're in no chance at all of picking up any essence. Coming into this game week, we had to pick up 65 essence, which we're always going to win more, of course, from the leaderboard, just the way it's structured, so that we could have another craft set up for the giveaway that we do for the channel members here on the channel. And there's just absolutely no hope in hell that we're getting anything. Failing avoiding relegation is the main, well done probably for the first team here, so they're hanging in D2. Sadly, we're losing a D2 team thanks to the Diarra DNP, as much as the Ronaldo red card itself. And after recording the video, I came back in and I just kind of finessed the team names that we've got here. So we've got our primary team, our £100 Road to Glory team, our secondary team at £75, and then we've got 50 quid of depth. And that's very much the way that the third team is looked upon, as the depth. Now, ideally, we want Sani Lamans actually playing for Man United. We have kind of went on a little bit of a limb here by buying him versus someone like a Dubravka, who I won't ruin the video if you haven't seen it yet, but 59 at the weekend, absolute matrix friendly goalkeeper. We maybe should have just went for that, and that's one of these beginner mistakes that are kind of rearing their head again, that I don't like taking chances with goalkeepers. I don't like going on a whim or a limb that goalkeepers are going to play or play well. I like to go proof in the pudding. I like to go for nailed on, and they were basically the same price. I hesitated away from the Dubravka because somebody bought the floor and it moved his price up by like a fiver or something. But as I look at this now, it wouldn't have made this team do much better. It would have got 59 points, obviously, which would have got it some XP, but I don't think it would have been enough for a promotion or anything better than that, really. But it's more going forward that I'm like, oh, Jesus, this might be a bad decision by me. With La Liga, we've only got the one team up and running, and sadly, Sorare, although it looked more likely to start this game than Brais Mendes, Didn't. Brais Mendes started, Brais Mendes played, and Brais Mendes scored in great fashion. It was a buzz to see. Martin scored pretty well. Taki Kubo wasn't looking his best, and Sorare from the bench wasn't able to replicate his previous off-the-bench outing of getting like 28 or anything like that. We're hanging in D2 with the £80 Road to Glory La Liga lineup. And we were 31 points off getting some XP. We were 77 points away, which with a 35-point captain isn't really that big of a gap to breach or to cross. To be bringing in some essence here, but close but no cigar, sadly, just with the way it went. We had some nice scores, wrong captain pick, no DNPs. But where the other kind of, and this is maybe one I'm kind of learning for the first time, right? Because if you follow the rare series that we're doing on the channel, where I'm tracking, you know, how much money and cards and all that kind of stuff that we're winning with my in-season Celtic stuff, you'll remember there was a time where we crafted fits, and that really had a fork in the road moment for us, where I went out and I got a whole other Celtic team. And then the team combination I made as a result of that meant that I lost my streak. And had I not bought those cards, we'd kind of did a wee bit of reverse engineering. We would have hit the third streak, funnily enough. And coming into this weekend, right on the deadline show, me and Harry Trades were looking at the teams. And I didn't know that Amal Pellegrino had moved to San Diego, who have very much been flavour of the month in MLS. And this is a guy that is like a Bodo Glimt legend, you know, set piece taken forward, projected to start centre forward away to Atlanta United. And I know I'm wearing their shirt today, so maybe it's a wee bit penance perhaps or whatever, but he was 60p, and I thought, yeah, why not? Let's give this team a bit of a talisman up front to go along with the rest of the, well, definitely plays against Charlotte for New York, and maybe he can get us over the line, because we were on streak 2 for this. We finished on 343 points, which is 37 points short before multipliers and bonuses of hitting the second streak. Pellegrino played 62 minutes in a 1-1 draw. San Diego are top. This looks like a plum position. He sadly just didn't make it count. But the player he replaced was Andreas Perea. Now, I watched the New York game. It was at 5 o'clock UK time. It was very easy to watch on Apple TV. And he finished on a 76 raw score. He got the penalty won for the first penalty for Alonso Martinez. I actually thought it was Fernandez Marcao, just the way the play had went at first, and on replay it was Andy Perea. Now, he scored 76 before multiplier, a full 40 points more before multiplier collection bonus. I can't say that enough, than Amal Pellegrino. So I would have, by spending 60p on this guy, I have cost myself the second streak and been lined up for the third streak in MLS Limited. So stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Buy Pellegrino, but I didn't need to play him. You know, we could have waited for him to get a good score from the start and then play him next week with some degree of confidence. Obviously, we're not really in that position quite, but all the same, a real gut punch. Now, it's only a limited streak too, it's no big shakes, but if, you know, like, MLS has been expensive for me. It's not really borne that much fruit. And imagine I got to the third streak on limited. I would probably be picking that team first next game week, you know. And, you know, if we win the limited one, then yippee-ki-yay, let's go for it. But anyway, that wasn't to be. So it genuinely couldn't have been a worse game week for the Road to Glory series if we tried. Now, coming into this midweek, like I mentioned, it's Europa League only, and I've got some Celtic stuff. We've got some giveaway teams ready to rock for that as well in the European leagues, and we've got all that stuff going on. But there is also a La Liga match day scheduled for this game week, which means we have the ability to maybe right the wrongs of the weekend ahead of next weekend. You know, can we hit the first streak in the midweek, get promoted into D1, and then have this La Liga team set up prime and plum ahead of a massive weekend? If we look at who we've got available in all the positions, Sorare is of course going to be our goalkeeper. We don't have any rares that are, it looks like Luis Jr. is not guaranteeable for this either, so it is definitely going to be Sorare that we have, and then we need to rely upon our in-seasons. Now, we only have one defender playing, which makes it quite an easy decision anyway. Rafa Marin has been quite strong and quite reliable for Villarreal when he's been playing. In the midfield, it really does pick itself. I think Brais Mendes is first on, and when we look at the projected teams for Sociedad, as I mentioned in the last video, I got a Sociedad signed shirt. I've became more of a fan of Sociedad thanks to Sorare than I would have been without Sorare. I've always kind of followed the team. They've always had nice players, haven't they? But I've watched so much of them over the last couple of seasons. I've got cards, I've got a signed shirt now, obviously. But when I look at this predicted team of Gonçalo Guedes at left wing, Carlos Soler, Brais Mendes, Taki Kubo and Oyarzabal, thinking about Yangel Herrera eventually coming into this defensive midfield position when he's fit and available. Sergio Gomez started at left back at the weekend. Aaron Barrow is a cool player. This Sociedad team should be 4th in La Liga. Now, Betis and Villarreal are fine, they're good. Athletic Club are not write-offs either. But this team has got serious potential. No European football and all the rest of it, yada yada. It excites me, it does. And playing Braze and Sorare as a double midfield. Now, I actually really do want to play Take Kubo in this, but again, as we look at the football fantasy, the Spanish newspapers, as I like to think of it, they talk about Kubo playing at the weekend with a bit of a rolled ankle. They do expect that Barrenechea is going to be rotated, but Barrenechea got an assist at the weekend and he's been playing great. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Barrenechea left wing, Guedes right wing, or something like that. Maybe Barrenechea plays on the right. So I actually don't think Kubo is at 70% if he's just came back from an injury. They might be come off the bench and start the weekend, that sort of thing. But Barcelona kicked ass and took names at the weekend, and my three boys, Rafinha, Olmo and Ferran, were all in amongst it. And it looks for this midweek, Ferran is nailed to play up front for this one. So he becomes away to Oviedo, sorry Harry Trades, but way easier to pick. And then we can pick King Carlos Soler to come in there as well. Now, I actually just want to swap them around just for the aesthetic of it. It's got to be Captain Braze in current form. Now, this team just needs to hit 360 points. We get the multi-club bonus. We get the Cap 260 bonus. We've got a little bit of a Sociedad collection bonus now of 1%. So that's an extra little thing, isn't it? But actually, right before I set this, do we have any XP? We have 200, and yeah, I don't think there's anyone we can spend that on. I've not been doing too good with my daily missions this game week, I must confess. But yeah, there's nobody we can do. I've already kind of hit it on everyone, I think, over the weekend and stuff. But yeah, we don't really have anyone we can be spending that on in particular. Maybe just going to spend it on Zinchenko just to do it, because then the cooldown activates and blah blah blah. So fine. And we'll go Captain Braze for that team as well. So awesome. Can we get promoted into Division 1? I certainly hope so. I think we've got great players, all on to play, all in good form. Even Soria at home to Alaves could be one of his better performances. And for Rafa Marin away to Sevilla, like that could be a high action game where he gets lots of AA. So Sociedad at home to Mallorca, Barca away to Oviedo feels like a really good build, feels like the road to glory. You know, the player individual ID is worked in, and we've got a little bit of force majeure, we've got a little bit of things going in our favour with the way the fixture list is panned out, etc. And that'll then take us on to the weekend, where I'm already looking ahead to the Premier League. We only have one team in Division 2, and the other two teams are both in Division 3. So there's not really too much to think about in terms of spreading the, some options or whatever. If we both have two Division 2 teams to increase our chances of getting one of them to promote into D1, this weekend it is 100% the best team is the first team that we're going to pick. Lamens, it's a wee bit too early in the week to say if he's going to be projected to play against Brentford, but he is kind of in his own siloed kind of strategy at the moment. Sadly, I am somewhat tempted to just trade him for Dubravka. But we'll go Pickford at home to West Ham, which means we need to play all in seasons in the outfield. And Nottingham Forest are at home to Sunderland, and this is a very common, or this is one of these things we all need to wrestle with, is when stacks collide, when they're playing against each other. So quite simply, I fancy Forest to do better in this game, SO5 wise, than Sunderland. Reinaldo will be suspended for this one. They've not been free fire in Sunderland. They've had a good defence, certainly. But Forest at home, Ange needs a big win. I think this could be a game where it happens, and it's easy to kind of build this stack with Pickford in goals, Zinchenko as a defence, a double midfield then of Elliot Anderson and Gibbs White, with Dan and Doy up front. Feels very pickable. Very easy to throw together with Captain Elliot Anderson, and we're all on the Nottingham Forest train for this game week. And Pickford is a nice alt that we've got there in the goalkeeper position. When we go to Team 2, it becomes a bit of a question. Do we go with the Lamens? Well, they're both in the same division, so it really doesn't matter. It's just formula. One will be Roofs and one will be Lamens. There's no need to think about them in terms of priority. And if we just do Roofs, quite simply, with Mukiele, keep that pair together. Habib Diarra DNP'd at the weekend, but Lafi DNP'd the weekend before, so I think this is just a matter of a rotation thing. Now we want to keep Chris Wood away from the Sunderland boys, just with the way this is going to be built by numbers and whatever. So we'll put Jadon Sancho in at home to Fulham. Aston Villa are playing midweek, so with the fixture list piling up, I'm expecting Sancho to feature a bit more prominently, and hopefully he can, just come in good for this team. And then Oscar Bob DNP'd the last game. I've got a feeling he'll maybe feature against Burnley, so we'll put him into this one, and it'll be Captain Mukiele. So again, this team isn't that strong, especially compared to the first one, and you'll see that the final team will probably work out to be quite similar. But if Lamens does play, which is the real question mark around this team, O'Brien West Ham is fine, Elliott Fulham is fine, and Dai, very good position, and Chris Wood, not a bad spot per se, captain and Dai for this one. But if... Oh, sorry. Where are my manners? We don't play Elliott in this because we can use the classic Grealish, who would be the captain. And this is the way we roll with this one. So if Lamens plays, that team really kicks up a gear. Now, we do have Harvey Elliott, actually, so we can maybe just slide him in there rather than Oscar Bob or Habib Diarra. So we'll maybe wait a little bit closer to game week lock. And between those three midfielders, we'll pick the best two. But in essence, we'll have one main team, and we've got two depth options where maybe, like, if Sunderland do well, I suspect these three players will score pretty well. And if we can have the other two counterparts, you know, do a decent enough shift, it'll work in quite nicely, won't it? And then, yeah, the last team, I've said that enough about the Lamens. Now, my curiosity is getting the better of me. The bots will offer me 10 to 13 quid for Lamens. Now, through thinking about the signing Lamens thing for a good little period of time here, I've just kind of realised I can play, and I don't know how we'll figure this, obviously we want to win the Essence and stuff like that, but I can actually play in-season European leagues thanks to this classic Schmeichel that I've got with a wee Forest stack. So I'm just going to put that out there. And that's in the mix now. Let's hope it wins, obviously. But if I can go get some midweek essence, that's another kind of helper on top of that La Liga play. I'm very much torn on this Lamens situation. I think I could, of course, do a straight trade with Lamens and Dubravka, probably just with the way the floors and the prices are. But it does make me not want to miss out. Like, could I sell Lamens for roughly the price that we bought him for, and then buy Dubravka? I think we just hold on to Lamens, because as soon as he plays for Man United, we can probably sell him for a profit. I'd certainly say we can sell him for a profit. So yeah, I think we'll kind of do or die on that one. If we do get any luck on a streak or something like that, like La Liga, yeah, we're on for a $10 in here. So if we hit this midweek, I'll buy Dubravka, and we'll just kind of deal with that in the transactions later in terms of the series and keeping account of it all and everything else. But yeah, like I said at the tip-off, I would have thought we would have been a little bit further ahead by now. The Premier League for the weekend looks good. We've got a midweek Europa, midweek La Liga, and for the weekend in La Liga, which hopefully we're on step 2 for, we've got Sorare playing Levante. That's 2 good games in a row for the big man. I don't know what to think about the defence yet for rotation and all the rest of it. Both are playing midweek, one in Europe, one domestically. Oh, Sociedad Barca at the weekend makes... I think Sociedad will still be quite fine for this, but yeah, I think we would need to nail our colours to the mast in that regard and just go Sociedad to at least score a couple of goals. We're not worried about the defence element. Barca can win 4-3 for all we care. Yeah, that might just about still work out for 2 game weeks in a row. Let's just see. Again, we'll maybe revisit this after we see how the midweek shakes out and see if there's anyone else we might want to rotate or transfer around with, play around with, that kind of thing. But again, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I do see the limited as one of my most engaging strategies, because when I look at the amount that we've spent to get these teams up and running, talking about like just over £300 all in for in-season limited and Premier League cards here. We're getting some midweek utility thanks to the Schmeichel, and you know, like we could have not bought Pickford and we could have bought any other in-season midweek goalkeeper from the Premier League. There's a few of them, so it's not a, you know, so I quite like how everything's sitting right now. It's definitely not perfect. I'm still a little bit, see, this whole Lamens Dubravka thing is going to eat away at me. You know, we'll see what happens between now and the game week. But if his price moves, like I say, I don't want to lose money on him because it is a Man United goalkeeper position. You shouldn't really be losing money on that to take the Burnley keeper, who's probably going to finish in amongst the relegation zone, but he is very matrix friendly. And overall, let's say we've had a few lessons kind of rear their head, so maybe the Lamens thing is just stick to the plan. You know, it was get Lamens, and this is just waiting to cook. The thing that's making me a bit more itchy or giving me ants in my pants here, it's just the fact that the classic is Grealish, and that will be a very usable card, and not having the in-season keeper that activates that this weekend in particular, it's kind of painful, you know, because we would love to make that probably team 1, where we get an in-season keeper in for the Pickford, we put the classic Grealish in with Ndiaye, and we can maybe mix them out, some of the other pieces and whatever as well, a bit more effectively. Whereas it is a little bit painted by numbers. We're putting the Forest boys together, and then between the 2 Division 3s we're keeping a little bit of Forest away from a little body there of Sunderland. So it's a little bit formulaic, and we don't want it to be formulaic. We want to be natural in the sense of, you know, we're picking the best teams every time, and we're not thinking about goalkeeper defender plays or the fixtures that they've got. Necessarily fixtures play a part, you know, but are they playing against each other, like a midfielder and a forward? It's like I mentioned with the La Liga stuff, like Barca win 4-3, we'll probably be quite happy with that. So it's not always the be all and end all, people playing against each other. Could even play Ferran Torres if we felt like it. I had to swap Schmeichels on this. I'm actually quite excited for this now. Now, once we get by this next week or so, I will be looking at adding in another arm into the Road to Glory series. This is something we've been chatting about on the content for a little while. Whenever I'm doing the ones to watch and the budget bargain picks, all these types of videos, the number one comment I get is, Quinny, do this for more leagues, do this for all the leagues. And it's a kind of slowly but surely process, I suppose, is how I'm going to be approaching it, because I do think every league could give us and should give us, in terms of strategy and for content, really for everything, some very unique and different styles and approaches and strategy takes, you know, because I think the Premier League having the Europa League little asterisk on it now is an extra little detail that I was mindful of, and I was thinking actually next week would have been when I had to do this. I kind of got my weeks wrong, which is what led me to thinking about all this stuff in the stream today. You probably won't see some of that through the edits. But this started off as a £100 budget lineup, and then we've spent a little bit on depth, then we've spent a little bit in the transfer window, and once we've seen how some of the runners and riders in the league are shaping up, and La Liga started off as a 50 quid Road to Glory, and then we spent a little bit of money in the aftermath of the transfer window, and with some injuries in fact catching up with us on some depth pieces when they were available, taking it to an 80 quid Road to Glory. So with the Bundesliga and Liga, and they'll be the next two that we take on, maybe even Eredivisie and the Belgian League, I might even get used to vote for what one we should take next out of the four of them. So feel free to let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section on that, and you know, stay tuned to maybe like a poll that I'll put on the channel homepage here on YouTube where you guys can vote for it. Maybe we'll even vote for the strategy in particular. Is it a money amount? Is it a profile of player? Etc, etc, you know, so there's a few different ways to go, because we do have a little bit of a Forest collection here. There is the beginnings of a Sociedad collection here as well. Do we lean into that? Do we steer away from that kind of approach? You know, there's a lot of different ways you can cut the cake, and I like having individual leagues as their own little band, as their own little Road to Glory strategy that we can hopefully try and win some money out of from my own perspective, and from the content's point of view, you guys all enjoy, you can play along with, and together we can all, you know, like fight the good fight, as it were. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and feelings on all of that, guys, in the comment section down below. On screen are now some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. If you haven't done so already, please do hit the subscribe button for more content like this. Enjoy the rest of your day. Good luck with the midweek as well. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one.